This video will go over a general overview of what the DIY kit is and what you need to do to install it, and just to give you an idea of what it is you'll be getting into and how much work it takes to actually install it. Our DIY kits come with almost everything that you need to install permanent holiday lighting on your house by yourself. It comes with our controller box. It comes with some power/data cable. This is what will go to your LEDs to control them and to power them. And it also comes with power injection cable. If you get a 100-foot kit, it will come with one of these. If you get a 150-foot kit, it will come with two. And it also comes with some LEDs. If you get a 100-foot kit, it will come with 2 strands, and a 150-foot comes with 3 strands. It will also include all the connectors that you need and a little measuring stick to help you measure the hole spacing on your channel. And if you opt in to get the tools, it'll also come with the drill bit that you need, along with some wire strippers and some tin snips to help you cut the J channel. The stuff that you do need to purchase still is some J channel. We recommend using the J channel, some vinyl J channel, because it's relatively inexpensive and looks a lot nicer than it sounds like it would look like. So kind of a general overview of what you need to install this kit is the first thing you'll do, you'll open up the box, plug in the controller box here, and then plug this cable into it, and then plug each LED strand into there just to make sure everything works out of the box. After that, you'll then need to set up the software for the controller. We use an app called WLED. It's an open source app, and it's a very common, popular app used to control LEDs. It's very powerful. You can do all sorts of stuff with it, and it's available on iOS and Android. After you have the lights in the box tested, next you'll want to decide how you want to lay out the lights and how you want to actually attach them to your house. Again, in our instructions is where you'll find information on that. It goes into a bit more detail and has some examples of what to do, what not to do, some different styles that you can do. So just take a look over that first to figure out how you want to run the lights on your house. After deciding on how to lay out the lights, you'll then need to install your control box. It will need to be within 30 feet of where your first LED is located. So you'll just open up the lid, there's 4 screws in the corner, and then on the back there's 4 holes for you to mount it to a wall or wherever you want to mount it. It's pretty light, so it shouldn't take much to mount. As far as locations of where to install the box goes, a lot of people will install it just in their garage. That's probably the best location. You just do it near an outlet, near the outside wall, and then drill a small hole through the wall where all the cables there will go through. Another location that's pretty common is just under your eaves near a power outlet. Again, try to keep it out of direct sunlight if you can, and also somewhere dry. It is water resistant, but not 100% waterproof. Once you got the control box installed, then you plug this black cable into it and run it to where your first LED will be. And then you cut it to length, and then you attach this little connector with a more permanent connector. You use these butt connectors instead. To do these, all you do, you just put a wire inside on each side, crimp it, and then heat it up with a lighter, or better yet, a heat gun. So then at that point, you've got your box installed, you've got this wired up, and then you just start hanging your LEDs using J-channel, probably. You can also use your own channel. It just needs to have 12mm holes drilled 6 inches apart. So when prepping the channel, we find it's easiest to do it in like 6-foot lengths or so. You can usually get this for about 70 cents per foot at Lowe's or Home Depot. And if you get their channel, we have this little measuring stick that'll help you get each hole centered and spaced the correct distance apart. So you just mark out all your holes and then use this drill bit, just punch all the way. The largest step on it is 12mm. So you just punch all the way through with that, drill all your channel, and then you can put your LEDs, whoops. The LEDs have, you can see just that little notch there, that will lock it into the channel here. And you can use pliers to put those in. Just make sure if you use pliers not to pinch any of the wires. So you just go along, just start attaching it to your house. Also on the website, there's some different ways you can attach this to your house, so take a look at that. And then occasionally you might need to make a small jump where you don't want any LEDs. For that, you'll just use any of this extra cable you have, cut it to the length you need, and then basically just run this in between the LED strands, and there's instructions on how to do that. Once you have your box and the black cable run to your first LED, plug in the box, make sure it all works, test it out a bit. Every step that you take, you want to turn on the box, well, plug in the box, and then test it, make sure it works. Just it makes troubleshooting a lot easier if you do it as you go along rather than getting it all installed and trying to find out where a connection is bad or trying to find some other issue. So troubleshoot as you go. And also as you are cutting wires or doing any sort of wiring, make sure that the box is unplugged. If you cut anything with it plugged in, chances are it will burn out some of the LEDs or maybe something worse. We'll help you troubleshoot that, but it just makes it a lot more work to do. So anyways, you've got your first strand set up, then you just go and start attaching the rest of your lights, and then run that white cable along the inside of your channel. That is used for power injection, which I'll cover here in just a minute. Some other general tips as you are hanging this: do as much as you can on the ground. Like if you need to do any splices, things like that, do it on the ground and then hang it, because it's a lot easier to do that on the ground than on a ladder up on your roof. And then just make sure that you have 2 people. It'll be really hard to do it by yourself. And yeah, so now onto power injection. As you install the lights, you'll want to make sure to run this white cable along the inside. The power injection is there because the voltage drop over 100, 150 feet is too much for just a single cable to power. So what you'll do is you'll basically just run this along inside, and at the beginning of every strand, you will inject power. And at the first LED of each strand, there's a red and black wire here for you to do that. And again, in the instructions, it goes over more information on how to do that and where to inject exactly. So generally, it's at the beginning of each strand, and then at your very final LED. And then once you get to the last LED, if you have extras, you just cut them off, and then you're good to go. That's about it. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of what the kit is, what you need to do to install it, and kind of how much effort it will actually take. In my opinion, it's not too complicated, but it can be very time consuming. I'd say plan on at least 1 to 2 days for 2 people to install it, depending on the size of your house. If your house has a lot more gables, that will make it more difficult. On my house, before I knew what I was doing, it took me about 8 hours with 2 people to do, and it was about almost 100 feet. But yeah, so it is quite a bit of work. It is a large DIY project, so just know that going forward. And there is also a good chance that you'll need to do some troubleshooting with it. At the bottom of our instructions, we have different troubleshooting steps. Take a look at those, see if any of those are the problem, run through the steps. If none of those aren't helping, or if it's a different problem, feel free to send us an email at support@shawtechlighting.com, and we'll reply as best as we can and try and help you out till we get this figured out. But yeah, so hopefully that gives you a good idea, and good luck.